What's going on, podcasters and YouTubers? This is Hav here, one of your hosts from the Real Fan Review, coming out of Long Island, New York. With me today, we have my brother, our man in the chair, Al.
What's going on, everybody?
Yes, sir. Al, it's just you and I tonight, brother. You ready to do this?
Yeah, kid.
All right, man.
We got
So
quite
listen,
a bit
tonight,
to talk about, man.
lots of things to talk about. We got Kraven the Hunter trailer coming out this week. We missed you guys last week, so we couldn't tell you a review about Transformers Rise of the Beast, but we'll do that tonight real quick. We'll do like a quick spoiler-filled one because it's been 2 weeks. You haven't watched it yet, you're probably not going to watch it. And then also we're going to talk about The Flash. We just saw The Flash last Thursday, so we're going to get into that now. So first off and foremost, let's go with the more recent news, which is Kraven the Hunter. The trailer came out from Sony Marvel's little interaction there. The trailer came out, and I just wanted to know, I haven't had a chance to talk to you, man. What's your thoughts on the Kraven trailer?
I'm actually a little disappointed from what I'm seeing in this trailer, kid.
Yeah.
I mean, given who they were brought in to play Kraven, I had some good expectations. Now, I wish B was here because I would ask him. I don't remember Kraven having superpowers. I just remember him being like some super
Hunter, pretty much
high efficient hunter. Exactly.
Yeah.
Now they got him like getting bit by a lion. He has lion powers, and I don't know. Okay, they took when I saw that out, they took me completely out of wanting to see this.
Yeah,
whatever integrity, but not integrity, but whatever quality I thought they were going to bring to this whole Sinister Six that they were developing, just went out the window. I don't think Kraven's not supposed to have superpowers like that. You know, not from what I remember of him in the comics or in the cartoons of the past. So to see him get bit by a lion and have superpower, I don't know if that's the feeling like they need to put him on the level of a Spider-Man, but it was his hunting prowess that made him Spider-Man's threat, not that he had lion powers. So that kind of killed me. But the visuals, the rest of it looked pretty good. The visuals look good. For what they're being given to portray, the actors are great. I mean, Russell Crowe plays the father.
Right.
I'm drawing a blank on Kraven, but he's been good in almost everything I've seen him in.
Yeah, Aaron Taylor Johnson.
Yeah, there you go.
Tangerine.
I mean, so like you said, yeah, Tangerine from Bullet Train. He was Quicksilver in the MCU. Right. So, I have expectations of their performances, but if this is what they're giving them to portray, that's where I think for me, that's my expectation. That's where it's going to fall short.
Yeah, I don't know, man. I got the same Morbius vibes. I got the Morbius trailer in my head and in the Morbius movie itself as well. So I was just like, I don't know, man. I'm very iffy on it.
Yeah.
And like when I saw Russell Crowe as his father, I was like, oh, wait, I'm sold. Russell Crowe's in it.
Yeah.
And it lost me. Like I saw when the lion bit him and the blood kind of like dripped onto him. I was like, oh, okay, it's kind of like almost like a mutant situation going on here. And I'm like, I guess they got to kind of explain to us or to them, like to I guess whoever wrote this story this is how he becomes more even special, almost like a mutant or like some superhero kind of story. But it lost me when Kraven was acting like a lion, running against the walls and jumping off the walls. I'm like, oh God, it's like I couldn't take it from there. And right there, it lost me because at first I was like, all right, I'll give it a shot, whatever. Yeah. But as soon as I saw him jumping off the walls and doing all that stuff, I was like, you know what, man, this is going to be Morbius all over again. I have a feeling like this is going to suck. It's not going to be something the fans want. And again, Sony, Marvel, their collaboration, I think there's so many positives, right? Look at freaking Miles Morales and the Spider-Man animated universe that they have there. I think it's such a well done, amazing like series so far with the first two. And I can only imagine the third one's going to be just as good. How is that the same company? And also the people who make, I mean, granted, Marvel helps them with the Spider-Man series with the No Way Home and the Far From Home and Homecoming. How are those people running Sony and then they could do Morbius and something that looks like this? And I hate the cheesy, like kind of like they try to hook us to go want to see more. Is they call me the Rhino? Do you want to see why? And then you see the hand changing colors to gray. And I was like, oh God, another mutant thing. I'm like,
yeah,
listen, it's better than the freaking robot that they had in Amazing Spider-Man for the robot armor or the armor that the freaking Paul Giamatti, I think, was that had it for the Amazing Spider-Man.
Yeah, but the Rhino also, but that's another one where I think they're messing up. Like the Rhino was supposed to be like it was just a suit or
right.
Like he's actually crazy. Turning into a rhino. Now, if they literally have him turn into all the body gray and the horn, and then his just his face stays human, it's gonna, oh come on.
I know it's gonna look ridiculous.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. I would love to say I'm going to give it a chance, and we're more than likely we're going to see it. We're probably not going to want to rush to go see it, but we're going to see it eventually, whether it's on DVD or like freaking streaming or even the theaters itself. I know we're not going to be like enthused to see it that day it comes out. So
yeah, I mean, this was Sony. Like the teaser trailer, right? The teaser
this
trailer.
Is a teaser trailer, and then hopefully we'll get like the story trailer coming in a couple of months or so.
Yeah. But hopefully there's something there to hook a little more than what this was supposed to, because this was supposed to be the hook. This was supposed to be what got you interested.
We were supposed to leave that trailer going, oh shit, I can't wait. And instead I was like, oh no.
What are they doing?
Oh my goodness, man. Man. This is just crazy. And again, it's like, these are the same people who were in charge of the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man. And you know, as much shit as the Amazing Spider-Man got with what's the actor, Andrew Garfield, it was still cool. I still liked it. I didn't, you know, some things I didn't like, but it was still good. But Morbius and this shit, no, this ain't it. Yeah, this ain't it, people.
Yeah, whoever's leading the creatives over there, they need to have a meeting and talk to one another again.
Go get Lord and Miller, please, again. The Jesus. Anyway, yeah, well, once we get that second trailer, we'll talk more about it. But I think there's not really much more to be said about Kraven.
They would have to completely change everything they just showed us to make it look better. So
absolutely, man. And again, such a good actor. He could do something different than that, man.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Well, listen, that leads us into our next topic for tonight, man. We're going to talk about something we didn't get to talk about last week, which was Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Movie came out 2 Thursdays ago. So last Thursday we saw The Flash. The week before we saw Transformers: Rise of the Beast. Mm-hmm. And Al, let's go right into it, man. We're going to do a spoiler review. We won't do the non-spoiler because it's been 2 weeks, almost 3 weeks by the time you guys hear this podcast. If you didn't see it yet, you're probably not ending up to go see it. Maybe we can convince you to go see it, because I think me and Al both had a positive reaction to this movie.
Yeah.
So Al, just I guess quickly, give me your first initial thoughts of this movie, Transformers: Rise of the Beast.
Okay, I left there thinking that they brought it back. I was glad they decided to do a reboot. I'm glad that the direction they went in with this movie, you know, they hit on a lot of good tones and notes for me. You know, the way they portrayed Optimus, in the sense that he had an arc of not liking and trusting humans to now becoming one of their biggest defenders. I didn't feel like they went too much. Like they just left enough of the robots to tell the story that they were telling in this movie. And they didn't feel the need to keep alluding to, oh, here's Starscream, or here's Megatron, or here's this person. Like they stayed with the robots that were in this movie and just went with that. The only one I wish that there was more weight to was Air Razor.
Yeah.
Like she's the only one that, you know, if you're like this long time superior Transformer, when Scourge shot her and he was like infecting her basically with, you know, what would equate to like a virus or something. How does she not know? You know, like she makes the mark of, oh, when he leaves his mark or something, she, you know, she kind of brushes it off. But how would you not know of what the potential was? And when you see the effect spreading, how do you not? So that was the only thing that almost took me out. But I've heard a lot of negativity of, oh, there's too much humans on the movie. We want to just see the robots.
Yeah.
I thought there was a good balance, you know, because you have to portray why the Transformers end up wanting to defend Earth. if not for the fact that they feel that bond with the human. So you have to show
Right.
the bond develop. And I thought Ramos did a good job, balancing the why he was willing to go forward and help and do a fight that basically wasn't really his fight. He could have
Hmm.
stood back. Um, the girl from the museum. Yeah, I love this movie. I thought everything was good. The only thing,
Hmm.
you know, is, what's his name? The Mirage.
Yeah.
He almost took me out of the movie once or twice, but he kept bringing me back in. Like as much as I don't like Pete Davidson,
Right.
if you hadn't told me at the end that that was him, I would have stayed enjoying Mirage
Right.
all throughout. I get that one line, when he was described as just a friend. Kid, to this day, I want to say it
It's
because
it's
that
hilarious.
line. Kid. I mean, I'm sure everybody's quoted that line, but it was hysterical when we heard it.
It's a kids
And
movie, Al.
kid, that's what I was. I was like, what? I might have had to have explained that line. Come on, are you kidding me? And
Oh my goodness.
I thought the visuals were good. I thought they did a great job, as
Right.
always, with how they made everything look. I didn't feel like the graphics were cheesy or needed,
Right.
maybe a little more time working on. I thought everything was good. I walked away completely, like, and especially with, what came at the end.
Hmm.
I'm like waiting for this next Transformer movie. And that's how we should leave a movie. You should always be leaving
Absolutely.
wanting more. And that's exactly what they did. So, I'm sure there's things to nitpick on, but I didn't go there wanting to nitpick, and I'm glad that there wasn't too much for me to do that on.
Yeah, man. I gotta agree with you, man. I ended up really, really liking this movie. I think it's right now in like my top 10, definitely top 10 for this year. And the fact that I actually care to see the next one, because I left other Transformer movies like the Rise of the Knights, or the
Oh,
Last
the
Night, I
last
think it
night or
was.
something. Yeah.
I left that movie going like, why do I keep doing this to myself? Like, it's just, the only one I kind of like, of not even kind. I love the first Transformers by Michael Bay, but
Yeah.
the ones right after it, I just did not like. I mean, Dark of the Moon was okay, but everything else I really didn't care for, and I didn't like it at all.
Hmm.
But this one, honestly, if it's not the best Transformers like live action movie, it's got to be like the second or third. It's definitely top three for me,
Yeah.
and it got me excited. And what's even better, Al, for me, the fact that they did not use Megatron, Starscream, Soundwave, and all those other people, it actually got me excited to see those guys again. Like
Yeah.
I can say now, like, hey, I want to see if they can do Megatron now. If I want to see how they use Megatron, how would they do Starscream, or maybe bring in Soundwave or some of the other characters. It
Hmm.
actually got me looking forward to the next episode. And then forget it, like you said, the end credits, not the end credits, like right before the movie ends, it was like a big shock that happened. And I acted like, if you ever seen that meme where Joe Rogan's like watching a UFC fight and he's like holding his friends back and losing his mind, that was me. I was losing my mind at that thing. But I mean, the movie itself, I thought it was great. It made me laugh. I did appreciate it, even though I know it was Pete Davidson. I still appreciated the humor.
Hmm.
I love the action. There was minimal human interaction. I mean, granted, it was, of course it's there, but at the same time, I loved the fight scenes with all the Transformers. I loved the ending. I mean, I didn't like the whole, like, I guess, CGI of it, but I did enjoy the battles because it wasn't shaky cam. It was like you could see everything that was happening. I love seeing RC. RC is one of my favorite characters from the Transformers animated movie, one of the best Transformers movie, probably the best Transformers movie,
Hmm.
besides the fact that they killed Optimus. Spoiler alert. Um, but yeah, man, I couldn't agree with you more. I'm like looking forward to the next one, and of course, I'm just super hyped off of this Transformer movie. I thought it was so great to see it, and I had a great time watching the movie in the theaters with with the three of you guys.
Hmm.
Sanj came, Brandon was there, you were there, and I thought we had a blast watching that movie. Man, it was
Yeah.
great. And shout out to whoever chose the music. Granted, it made me feel
Oh,
old as shit because it was like, these are classics. These are the 80s or the 90s. And I'm like, I love every one of these hip hop songs. Like,
Yeah, kid. I'm almost looking for the soundtrack.
oh, absolutely.
Kid, yeah.
When you play Diggable Planets, are you kidding me? I'm cool like that. Boy, man. But listen, the movie, again, if you haven't seen the movie, and even if you hear all the stuff that we talk about that happens in this movie, I think you should still see this movie. I think it's not a need to see, but you definitely should see it, and you should see it in theaters. It's a huge, like, epic battle throughout. Every like 10 minutes is a fight. I loved it, man. And I have to also say, this Transformer was a little brutal. There was some kills from the Autobots that I was like, you guys are the good guys. Like,
yeah, they killed a couple cops. I don't want to hear nobody say, "Oh, kid, they killed some cops in this movie."
They definitely killed some security guards and cops in this movie, like real cops. Like,
yeah, don't tell. Oh, come on, they survived.
No, but Al, did you realize the brutality in this one? Did Optimus do the freaking Sub-Zero and pull the freaking robot's neck and spine out? Like,
yeah, kid. Yeah, I was like, what? Like,
and then I think the Optimus Primal, the gorilla in the gorilla Optimus or the Maximal,
yeah,
he like bashed in the head of one of these robots with a boulder, and I was like, oh okay.
Yeah, that's why I like Optimus Primal. Like that. Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing their origin story as a spinoff. And that was the only thing that like I kept having to remind myself, and I think they could have done a little better, was stressing that they were from the future,
right,
and time traveled to the past.
That and exactly that would have made. I mean, they hinted at it and they kind of like talked about it a little bit. These from your future, but they're in the past. But they didn't really harp on it and really explain it well. So it was very interesting to see that.
And
Al, any interest in seeing more of Unicron? Because the way they kind of showed Unicron wasn't the huge robot. It was still just the planet, the eating planet. And the way they use Unicron kind of just moving slowly towards Earth the entire time. How'd you feel about the use of Unicron?
no, I like the way they did Unicron, because if he's a robot of that size, you have to explain why he's just not destroying everything. So it would have to be that, he needed something on the planet, and that's why he needed Scourge to be like his laser on the target that he needed. And once whatever his target was gone, then he could destroy the planet. But he's like the obviously big monster, and then for surgical strikes, he has the Scourge and the rest of them. So I like that balance, and the use of the two to explain why he even needs a Scourge to do his work.
Gotcha.
But where they afterwards, when you're sitting back thinking of the movie, if they needed, the MacGuffin was that key, because that key was what allowed them to travel the universe and go from
the two
location.
parts, the two pieces of that key to open up the portal.
Yeah. If that's what the Maximals used to go to Earth and go to the past in Earth, how does Scourge and the rest of those guys go to them? Because if they needed that key and that device in order to do that, how did
they end up on Earth at the same time frame?
How did they get sent back?
Yeah.
So did they already have the ability they were trying to get from the key? Like, that's where I don't think they thought that through, because they needed the key to do that.
Right.
So how were they able to do that?
Yeah.
Like, I can understand you can detect that the key was used, or you're picking up on the signal from the key. But the signal from the key was coming from the past and from a great distance that supposedly you couldn't travel. How did they get there?
Well, they saw the light, Al. They saw the light, and that was it. Send them down.
But other than that little loophole, or that little, please explain it, enjoyed myself. The arcade. I was there. I was loving every minute, loving the ending and the way they did everything. So I mean, I had a great time. There's a lot of people that are bashing it, trying to, like I said, nitpick little things, but that was the only thing that
I don't think you could bash it, man. I think if as long as you don't go in there expecting art, you're gonna love it. And as long as you're a Transformers fan, sci-fi fan, you should be enjoying that movie. That movie was was bananas, man. I mean, listen, I turned my brain off with Transformers.
Exactly. And now if you want all these, like everybody has a universe, now we have a Hasbro universe.
Yeah, Al, talk about it. Al, tell him how I lost my mind, Al. Tell him how I lost my mind, man.
Yeah, when he flipped that card, and I was like, "What?"
G.I. Joe.
I mean, you were
man.
doing the whole hand and holding us back, and I'm like, "That shit said G.I. Joe." I lost my mind, kid. I was like,
dude,
no way.
I was convinced it was Sector 7 on the card to be like, to kind of like hint that this is the same time path, just maybe a different direction. Mm-hmm. But when they flipped that card over and that shit said, it had the G.I. Joe emblem and said G.I. Joe, I lost my goddamn mind. I'm like, oh shit. Now, granted, G.I. Joe hasn't done so great in the movies lately. Mm-hmm. Well, not lately, in the past years with, Channing Tatum as Duke and Roadblock from The Rock. It's not lived up to the potential. And then let's all try to forget Henry Golding Snake Eyes. Jesus Christ. The best part of that thing was Scarlet. But I'm all for them trying again. Let's do it all over again. Let's give it some time. And you know what? Mm-hmm. Let's do it a little different. Let's incorporate the Transformers. I'm okay with that. Yeah. Would I have preferred G.I. Joe come on their own and start their own little universe? Because I really don't see how Cobra, G.I. Joe, Autobots, and Decepticons. I'm interested to see it, but I really would have preferred, because there's so many G.I. Joe characters. There's so many villains. You could have gone so many directions with G.I. Joe. You could have did single movies, joint movies. You could have did Tiger Force. You could have did the Cobra La. There was so many things you could do, but now you're kind of pigeonholing yourself to G.I. Joes with Transformers, and more likely the G.I. Joe are going to be side character humans in a Transformers movie.
Well, they could do a Transformers a G.I. Joe spinoff,
right? To
bring in who's the new Duke, who's the new Roadblock, and all this,
right?
Who's the new Storm Shadow, Snake Eyes, and everything, and then do the crossover event. Because remember, he said, he's recruiting him, and he's like, "We'd like the help of your friends,"
right?
And so there was no guarantee, but I think that gives them the opportunity to do a brand new G.I. Joe reboot,
right?
And then try to do the crossover.
Yeah.
So I wouldn't mind just seeing a new G.I. Joe if you can keep this tone, this atmosphere, this level of energy,
and good story.
Yep, good story.
Good story.
Good, bringing some good quality actors to do the portrayals.
Mm-hmm.
I think they can make this work.
Yeah, man. What's funny is I always think back, Marvel just knew what they were doing. That you do Iron Man, you do Incredible Hulk, you do Thor, and then you work up to this moment where they're all together in one shot. I just always think that that's the right way to handle all this shit. And they're just they just need to start over.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. But Al, like I said, to me, it's not a need to see, because it's still not, don't get me wrong. As much as I enjoyed it, I won't say it's the best movie I've seen this year. By no means. It's not a great movie, but it's a really good movie, and I enjoyed myself.
Yeah.
But how about you, man? Need to see, should see, wait till Blu-ray?
Yeah, I was going to say, should see it. If you're not like a diehard fan, just wait for it on Blu-ray, wait for it on streaming, and enjoy it, in the comfort of your home. But you should see it. Definitely, like you said, if you're a fan of Transformers, if you're a fan of Hasbro,
right?
Sci-fi, action. It's got something for everybody, but it may not be something you have to see. Like, even with all the special effects and everything, I didn't walk away feeling like I had to see it in the theater.
Gotcha.
Even with Dolby and everything, I didn't that didn't wow me. What wowed me was what I was seeing on the screen, and I could have been just as happy seeing it at home. So, yeah, I should see it, but see it wherever you're comfortable.
Yeah, man, definitely, man. And knowing the way, again, the way times are now, this movie will be in streaming in about 2 more weeks. So just, you can wait for that, or you can go to the theaters. I think personally you should go to the theaters and see it, man. It's a huge, epic fight, battle scenes and everything, man. Definitely check it out, man. But Transformers: Rise of the Beast, man, surprised me this year. That was a really good surprise, man.
Yeah.
So listen, last thing we're going to talk about today, Al, will be The Flash, the DCEU's last entry. Or is it the last entry? I think they still said Aquaman and Blue Beetle is still technically part of the DCEU, but they're going to be transferring forward to the
Well,
DCU now. So
well,
we'll see how it
Aquaman's
goes.
coming. Yeah, Aquaman 2 is still coming out, but Blue Beetle is supposedly the first of the new DCEU. He's the
Well, we'll
first
see how that all
superhero.
plays out,
Yeah.
man, because that's going to be weird. But let's go with the non-spoiler because this movie did just come out on Thursday, so we want to give people an opportunity who didn't see it the first weekend to go see it the second weekend.
Mhm.
So non-spoiler review, Al, I'll hit us off first on this non-spoiler review. I believe a lot of the hype that came from, oh, Tom Cruise says it's the best movie he's seen and all this stuff like that, and all these other actors who got a chance to see it early, overhyping how good this movie is, kind of like set the bar too high.
Yeah.
And while I enjoyed the movie, as you guys may know, if you're into movies and you watch podcasts about movies, you probably already heard that this movie is not doing too great in the theaters as far as making money. I don't think it deserves that. The movie is a good movie. I enjoyed it. But what I have to say, I guess, I don't know if it's a spoiler or not to say. So, you know what? I'll be on the safe side. I'll save it for the non spoiler. But there's an element that feels like it's missing in this movie. And it's something that's in almost every comic book movie. And it's like in this movie, it's like, was there a bed? Like it's missing something. So
Mhm.
but I think I enjoyed myself. I laughed. I loved what I saw on the screen in front of me. There's a lot of people arguing about the visuals of the movie, but I don't think the visuals are broken. I think it's a choice by Andy Muschietti, the director, or by the DCEU people to use like a different look for different things. So I mean, I guess some people are saying some of the graphics of everything doesn't looks rubbery, looks fake. You guys have seen the trailers of Flash going up a building, and then there's something that happens with that building, and some of it does look fake. But then again, you can't really. I know why it looks fake and why it should be fake because it's a certain thing. We'll talk about that in
Yeah.
spoilers. But the graphics are getting killed. The story is getting killed. And I think people are just, I don't know what they were expecting from the Flash with Ezra Miller. I think Ezra Miller did a great job as portraying two different people. As you guys seen in the trailer, there's a younger version himself, and then there's him from the DCEU. And honestly, man, if I didn't know any better, there's two Ezra Millers. So like he did great for me, man. So I mean, my personal non-spoiler review of this movie is I think you should see it. I'm not going to say you need to see it. I thought it was a really good movie. It's in my top 10 also for this year. But I think it's getting killed for all the maybe the right reasons, but the wrong reasons also. Because if you're just going to judge it as a movie, I think it's a good movie, man. How about you,
Mhm.
Al? What do you think about the movie? Non-spoiler.
Yeah, no, I definitely have to agree with you. They did too much trying to hype up that this was such a great movie that
Mm-hmm.
had they just let it be based on what they put out in terms of trailers,
Right.
everybody I would have been happier with the movie that I got.
Right.
Um, like you said, the performances were great from everyone around. Sasha Gaia, I think, definitely needs something after this
Yeah.
beyond doing another Supergirl movie. I thought she
Mm.
did it well. She seemed to um, be the role that she needed. Like she didn't seem aloof. She didn't seem anything. She in the scenes that need to be dramatic, she seemed to be able to bring that. And then at the same time, I think she could pull off comedic and everything. So I would like to see her in more. Ezra
Mm.
Miller, I thought they did a great job,
Yeah.
like you said, making me believe that there was two of them.
Right.
A lot of times when you have one actor playing two characters, you can tell that they're not in the scene together.
Right.
Either the timing is off or they're not looking where they're supposed to in order to supposedly be looking at that person, and it could take you out of
Mm-hmm.
the scene. I really thought there was two of them talking to one another.
Yeah, for real.
Um,
The entire movie.
Kid,
The
every
entire movie.
scene they did, the timing was right on. Whoever edited so that the timing was good, did that, did a good
Yeah.
job. Um, Considering that he wasn't bouncing off of somebody with his lines, I thought again allowed him to stay in the moment. It didn't seem like he was resetting because he had to act like he heard someone say a line. It
Right.
felt like he really was hearing somebody say something back and he was bouncing off of their
Yeah.
reaction. Um, to your point, I thought the visuals for the movie, and I think in a way this is what's causing a lot of the negative feedback. I liked what they did visually when I heard why it looked that way. Because
Oh,
in the
you're gonna have to
movie,
tell me that then
you
when
know,
we talk into the spoilers.
yeah, because in the movie, the visuals, I was in agreement with all the negative feedback that they were getting.
Right.
But then when I heard after that he did it that way on purpose and
Right.
why, I was like, okay, but you should have done it differently.
Right.
And so, like you said, when we get into the divorce spoilers, I'll go deeper into that. But overall, I thought Michael Keaton did a great job.
Oh, he killed it.
I wish they had kept that a secret though,
Right.
because when not that this is much of a spoiler, because obviously they have to introduce him, but when they
Right.
introduced him in the movie, it looked like it was supposed to be a surprise that it was Michael Keaton.
Mm-hmm.
So if you were going to make it so that it was a surprise reveal, oh shit, it's the Michael Keaton Batman, then you should
Right.
never have shown us Michael Keaton in the trailers.
Yeah.
So, but other than that, I thought, I felt for the story. I felt for why he went back in time. I understood why he tried to go back in time.
Definitely.
I
To
even
say that not one of us would not try, come on.
Okay, yeah, that's
We would all
nobody.
try it.
You give anybody the ability to do it, and you tell me they don't even take the chance to try. You're lying to yourself and you're lying to everybody. You would try if you thought if you found out you had the power and the ability to bring someone that you loved back to life.
Yeah.
Because oh come on, everybody's doing that. I don't want to hear it. So it was and then the arc that it showed, because he had to not only have the experience of the story of the events of the story, but bouncing off of a lesser, like an inexperienced, immature version, even more immature version of himself.
Right.
To see that arc of Barry throughout the movie, if they had not overhyped it, I think it would have been getting a better response than it is.
Yeah, I got you, man. Yeah, man. And I think I think the story kind of contradicted itself at the end also. It's like, don't change time. Maybe there's one thing.
Just the one. Yeah, he still did. He didn't learn anything.
He still fucked around. But we won't tell you what the thing was for sure. Yeah. But let's get into the spoilers there. Then we can delve a little deeper in there. But real quick, Al, your recommendation for the movie? Ooh, you gotta think about it.
Yeah, I gotta think about it, only because there's a lot of people in respect, like you already made the comment, it's not doing well in the theaters.
Right.
And I don't think it's because of that people think it's a bad movie or they're hearing that it's a bad movie. There has to be positive word of mouth on this movie.
Right.
So the only thing I can think of is a lot of people are not going because they don't want to support Ezra Miller.
Right.
To that point, they are not the only people or actors in the movie. Mm-hmm. So just realize that by not wanting to support them, you're not supporting everybody else in the movie.
Right.
So it's hard to say go see it if you're taking a stance on as to why, and that's why.
Yeah, respect to you.
If that's your decision, by all means. If you're on the fence or you don't know whether you should go see it or not, go see it. If you don't have a stance against the actor and everything that he was doing outside of the movie, or they were doing, outside of the movie, then go see it. It's a great story. I think it's a standalone, so you just realize it potentially can be a standalone movie. But it was a very good, very comedic, very action-filled movie, with a good arc for every character in the movie. So yeah, I would think it's definitely a must see. As far as I'm concerned, it's definitely a must see.
Gotcha, man. All right, guys. So listen, you heard it from Al and I. Movies worth seeing. I don't think it's one of these movies you're like, yo, dude, don't waste your time. And it's funny because again, I know why people may be not wanting to go see it. Where's the DCEU going? It's not worth it. I still say this is something you should probably see in theaters, man. It's a good
Yeah.
time, good visual, good story. I don't want to say it's a great one. They didn't nail it. It's not, equivalent to Marvel's top movies at all. And it's
No.
probably, maybe top 5 or top 3 for the DCEU itself.
Hmm.
I don't know, maybe even top 2 for DCEU, man,
Yeah.
to be honest with you.
Yeah. For me, it's
But
still Man of Steel.
yeah, come on. Man of Steel's awesome, man. The disrespectful
Yeah.
chest walking out of the ocean. Jesus, Superman. But listen, let's go right into spoilers so we can get a little more deeper, tell people a little bit how we feel about exactly what we're thinking here, and maybe
Okay.
even delve into some of the things that you, like you said, Al, you understand why he did certain things that he did.
Hmm.
So again, if you have not seen the movie, I think you should go check it out, man. Unless you're making a stance or you don't want to see anything that Ezra Miller is a part of, completely get it, completely understand. But on its own merits, the movie is a good movie, and I think you guys should check it out, have fun with it. But Al, let's go right into the spoiler section now, and let's talk about the art. Let's go start with there, man, because I
Hmm.
think a lot of people are killing the movie, and a lot of the comments are the visual effects are terrible. And while I can understand why some of the visual effects looks the way that they do,
Hmm.
especially in the Chrono Bowl, which is Barry Allen's or the Flash's method of traveling in time, instead of
Yeah.
showing him run really fast and change into time, he pretty much runs inside of like a bowl, or kind of like a circle, and around him is his timeline in very different, like, I guess, if he made different choices or different things happen, it's surrounding him.
Hmm.
And what's happening is when you look at it, it looks weird. It's funny. It's like almost like art or like rubber or
Hmm.
like statues. It doesn't look real. And I think people assume that the visual effects are bad when I think it's intentional. Am I
Yeah.
wrong on that, Al?
No, I agree with you. Yeah.
Or,
And
yeah, go for it.
no, and where I thought he messed up was because in the moment, since I mean, the whole movie is done very well graphically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so for this to be somewhat close to reality, just a
Mm-hmm.
little distorted, it kind of took me out because I thought it was supposed to be real. And then
Right.
it made me think, oh, the graphics on this are cheap. They're bad. Oh, what's going on here? Why does it look this way?
Right.
Because it was still semi real.
Mm-hmm.
If they were going for, oh no, this is our representation, or we're going for an effect, I think they should have gone a little bit more in the distorted angle.
Right, because it was too close to being like you meant to do it to look real, but then it doesn't. So
Yeah,
now it looks like bad visual arts.
exactly. Like
Yeah.
if you want us to know, no, I'm going for this look, then I think they should have gone for it a little more,
Mm-hmm.
and have it look a little less real, have it look a little bit more rubbery and so forth.
Right.
So that we know, okay, this is a distortion of reality
Mm-hmm. Right.
instead of, oh, this was supposed to be reality. So
Mm-hmm.
because afterwards when I heard the interview with Machete saying no, that was done intentionally, I'm like, okay, I can believe that because the rest of the movie
Mm-hmm.
visual effects is great. When they do the Zod fight at the end, all of those Kryptonians look great. The fight looks very well done, CGI and
Ow.
everything.
Ezra Miller playing two characters looks real the entire time.
Exactly.
That's visual effects.
Yeah. So the two areas where I felt that they really messed up on the visual, where I was originally thinking, okay, the visuals here are horrible, was the
Right.
chronosphere and then the scene with the babies.
Oh yeah, that was pretty bad.
But I think they did that with the babies to let us know there's no real babies getting hurt here. Like, don't
That's
worry.
exactly it.
These are all cartoon.
These are fake babies. Let's
They're
not get
fake.
crazy.
Let's not go crazy. Yes, we didn't put a real baby in a microwave.
Uh-huh.
So I think it was meant to let people know that this shit is graphics. We're gonna really mess up the graphics so that you know that this is computer generated.
Yeah.
Um,
I also thought they did that out to kind of simulate, like, hey, this is how things look when he's using the Speed Force and he's moving faster than everybody else. things don't look the way they normally do. But it was just too fake.
Yeah, it
It
was.
was
I
too
mean,
fake.
yeah, because when he's done other, like, remember when they did the Snyder cut and he's saving Iris, she
Hmm.
looked real. When
Right.
he's saved other people, they've looked real. I think the babies
Hmm.
were done that way to let us know, no, they're fake.
Like these are not
Guys,
real
don't worry.
babies.
Yeah, don't worry.
Yeah.
They're not. But then the chronosphere when he said, no, this is how I wanted it to look there for the purpose of just representation. I
Right.
said, okay, I could buy it because everything else looked good. Like, I didn't
Right.
feel like that was somebody trying to make an excuse, because when you look at
Hmm.
the movie as a whole, they don't skimp anywhere else.
No,
So
dude, you got to
I could
think
believe
about
him.
it. The whole Supergirl stuff looked amazing. The
Yeah.
whole Zod stuff, the Zod fight, the two Barry Allens or the two Flashes working together, fighting, moving fast. Everything looked spectacular except for the babies and the chronosphere or the chrono ball or whatever it was that they were using to make the him go through time. Those are the only two things, and it just I think it well lie all the cameos at the end when they were showing all the different universes and they were showing Christopher Reeves as Superman and Nicolas Cage as Superman. That looked pretty bad. Yeah, that
Yeah.
didn't look too good either.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, but interesting enough. But listen, let's talk about the story, Al, man, because the story really got me, and I really understood it. And again, I'm a huge, I was a huge CW Flash fan. Season one, probably the best season in comic book like characters and stuff like that. Like I loved the first season of the Flash on the CW.
Yeah.
Season two was also good. Season three, it started to dip. Season four, five, six, seven, eight, nine is like, you lost me. And
Yeah.
I gave up after a certain amount of time. I was like, I can't keep watching this shit. This is a waste of my time now.
Yeah.
But there was still parts of it that I actually loved. And by the way, just a quick note, I do not like the fact that they could show all these different flashes and they don't show the CW flash on there. I think Grant Gustin deserved that at the
Yeah.
very least to show up in that like in one of his universes there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Um,
Especially
I
considering
think
that they brought Ezra Miller into the
yeah,
Flash
exactly.
CW. Yeah.
Yeah, show the same respect. Show it back. In fact, isn't the Flash that had the bull hat? Wasn't that one of the Flashes from the TV show also?
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So
That
if
character was on the show. Yeah. Well, the actor was.
he was the one who played oh, I forgot the guy's name, the character, but he played the evil Flash that
Yeah.
was on
Zoom or
there.
something like that. Yeah.
Zoom, I think it was. Yeah. So I'm like, how do you show him and you don't show Grant Gustin's Flash? Forget it.
Yeah.
But again, I thought the movie was great. Like even the beginning out, that whole thing with the Justice League, I absolutely loved. I mean, granted, Al, you've been saying it for years. There is something personal with WB and Superman,
Oh,
and what's the actor's name? Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill. Yes. That was.
I
Come
don't
on.
understand why they keep doing my man dirty.
Oh, you could have put him into the movie. You didn't have to cut his scene. I mean, you brought
Absolutely.
Gal Gadot, you brought Ben Affleck, you even brought
Mm-hmm.
Jason Momoa, and you make it obvious. I'm sorry that we're in spoilers. So
Yeah, go for it.
the ending scene with George Clooney as
Mm-hmm.
the end Batman, once everything was supposedly restored, just shows that this universe that you supposedly just reset, the only characters that you didn't bring back were Superman and Ben Affleck. But even Ben Affleck got his part in the beginning. The only
Right.
person who you didn't put at all in the movie was Henry Cavill.
Right. You kind of hinted at it with the TV screen showing him fighting a volcano.
Yeah,
Like what? All right, no problem.
yeah, kid. It just felt. I mean, for this to be the final, my opinion. Everybody's like,
Mhm.
"Oh, well, it resets." It didn't reset
It
because
did not. Yeah.
you have George Clooney as Batman. You
Right.
have Aquaman not even knowing he's Aquaman.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously there is no Justice League. You reset just that, but you didn't
Mm-hmm.
reset the characters. So how
Yeah.
does George Clooney being the Batman in this reset universe explain the new Batman that's going to be in Bold and Beautiful? And Bold and Beautiful, listen to me, Bold,
And
Bold and the Brave, or whatever that Batman movie
yeah.
is going to be. How does it explain the new Superman? You haven't explained any of that. And to me,
Mm-hmm.
this shows that none of those new movies are in this universe. So if that's the case, then you could have brought Henry Cavill back and
Yeah,
said that
what's the
he's still in.
deal?
Yeah, you could have made this be an Otherworlds movie, and then
Mm-hmm.
everything else is your new DCEU, especially if Blue
Right.
Beetle is going to be the first one. So I
Yeah.
completely felt the same way, that this was like personal. Whatever is going on with the, oh, we can't
Mm-hmm.
put Henry Cavill Superman in these movies. It feels personal. It's probably, the only thing I can imagine is
Mm-hmm.
it's payback for the whole thing with
With The
whatever
Rock and
The
everything.
Rock was trying to do. And
Yeah.
because his wife and management team was representing Cavill, they're like, "Fuck it, you're lumped in with them. Sorry, we're not using
Right.
you."
Yeah, it's
Because,
it's 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 ugly, dude. It feels ugly. You know what I mean? Because especially in a movie like this, where it's like it's justified. Henry Cavill would have been here, or
mm-hmm,
Superman would have been there.
yep,
And again, the cheap like, oh, here's Superman on a news clipping protecting people from a volcano eruption. I'm like, all
yeah,
right, cool. At least you
yeah,
showed them. You know what I mean? And they did shout out to Stone, what's it called, the cyborg there, but
okay, yeah,
they basically just said, oh, he's still a football player,
yeah, yeah. He never
in
he
this
never
timeline.
turned. Yeah,
But yeah, listen, man, that entry into the movie, which is Batman needing help from the Flash to take care of this issue, and them
mm-hmm,
using the Flash as basically like the custodian of the freaking Justice League, was absolutely cool, amazing. As much shit as we talked about the visual effects of the babies, it was still funny. It was still something to see, and it was still
mm-hmm,
like interesting. And even besides the baby stuff, the baby's falling out of the window there. The action sequence with Batman, with Ben Affleck's Batman, looked absolutely incredible, dude. Him
yeah.
using the batarang, using the motorcycle, chasing after these guys. Come on, man. Talk to me
Okay,
about the beginning.
yeah. That whole thing was crazy. The dual wheels motorcycle, him
Mm-hmm.
shooting the jets on the back of the cycle, helping to keep him in the
Just looked
direction he wanted
amazing.
to go. Kid, oh, I was out of control with that. And then when
Right.
he attaches with the grapple or whatever that was that he used, and he's being pulled,
Uh-huh.
like unlike when they did it in Fast and Furious, he's not like, I believed
Mhm.
it because he's, his suit can obviously withstand it. He's being
Right.
torn and pulled in all different directions,
Yeah.
and you see him feeling it and everything. So I like that scene. Was crazy. It was ridiculous, and
Hmm.
it was true to Batman. Well, that Batman.
Yeah.
So I'm glad the way they played it out. The way that
Yeah. Because that
they're
Batman's
letting these.
aggressive.
Yeah, yeah. So that was cool.
Yeah.
And then the little ending with him, Wonder Woman, and the lasso. That scene was hysterical.
Lasso truth always gets them.
I mean, they've run it quite a few times, but it still works.
It
Especially,
still works, man.
yeah, especially when the Flash, his response is, I know sex exists. I've just never had it."
Crazy, man.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Ezra Miller's The Flash, and also Ezra Miller playing a younger version of themselves, and just the way that he played that character the entire movie. And I just think that Ezra Miller needs, no, he doesn't need, but at the same time, I think he should get his kudos for what he did in the movie. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to include what he did outside of the movie. That's his own personal shit, and it's fucked up. And me personally, don't like it, don't want anything to do with it. But
Yep.
as judging this movie just for the movie itself,
Yep.
I think Ezra Miller did a great job
Yeah.
playing Barry Allen, the Flash, younger Barry Allen, and also even the quote unquote villain of the movie, the evil dark Flash.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of sentimental moments with his mom, good moments with his dad. The conversations with Batman I thought were interesting, but just the again, like he played the emotional role, he did the funny role, he did the annoying role, and he made it work and came across like two different Barry Allens. And again, there's an ending scene where he talks to his mom one last time. That shit got me. I was just like, dude, I feel it. I feel the tears coming and rolling up in in my eyes, and I was like, this shit is good, you know. And I think he did a great job because it would have been easy if he sucked to be like, Ezra Miller sucks as an actor anyway, right? To
Yeah.
just kind of downplay him. But when you see him actually pull this shit off, and I'm like, not for nothing, man, he killed it in this job, in this role here. So I
Yeah.
think personally, Ezra Miller did a great job playing the Flash, playing the multiple Barry Allens, playing the multiple Flashes, and how he came across. Al, how about for yourself, man? How did Ezra Miller stand out to you?
Yeah, I have to completely agree with that. Like, I hate that he has all this drama going out because I don't want to support that.
Right.
I don't want to even seem like I condone it by, contributing to paying him. But that's
Mm-hmm.
why I have to remind myself it's not just him. There's, vast amounts of people that help this movie come around. And, you have to support everybody. But to your
Mm-hmm.
point, the reason why I hate so much that he's doing all this shit outside is because I loved what they did. They did a great job with the role. You know,
Right.
to balance the seriousness of how he had to be as what I've heard people call Barry 1, and then the Barry 2 to
Right.
be like aloof and carefree, the way you would expect him to be had he never lost his mother.
Right.
So to play a character that's carrying the weight of years of loss and
Mm-hmm.
of both parents, because the mother died and the father went to jail, so he lost both of them in one night, like they keep saying in the movie. So you have he portrays one character with with the weight of all of that, and then you have the one who could give a shit about anything, and everything's just funny and hysterical, and oh my god, I got superpowers. And to have that dynamic and be able to portray it well.
Mm-hmm.
I would have loved to seen him do a Flash, seen them do a Flash too. I would
Right.
have loved to seen what they could have done with other roles, even
Yeah.
outside of this movie, maybe now knowing how well he can perform and how well they can perform and how well they can act. I would
Mm-hmm.
have enjoyed seeing that. But if not for all of that other drama, and no matter what anybody says, you can't separate it completely. It's always
Right.
going to be in the conversation.
Yeah.
And it's sad and it's upsetting that that has to be the case, because they did a great job in this movie, and
Right.
everybody else did a great job in this movie. And,
Yeah.
and like you said, those scenes where he's talking, there's the one scene when Barry 1 and 2 are talking, and Barry 2 catches on that the mother died.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what's going on, and that's why he came back. And you can see the little subtleties in their expressions. And it's hard to teach that, and it's hard for someone to learn to do that. So
Right.
it adds to the weight of some of these scenes and the subtleties of some of these scenes. And it would have been great to see more.
Yeah. I get you, man. And
Mhm.
Al, before we get into talking about Batman and Supergirl, the one thing I was gonna say in the non-spoiler, which kind of hinted at, was there really was something missing in this movie, and this is what's crazy. With this one element missing, the movie was still good. And what that element to me was any sense of a bad guy. There was no villain in this movie. Because if you want to say that Dark Flash was a villain, then he showed up 3 times. Like
Yeah.
he pushed him out of the timeline once. Then he kind of showed up at the end of the movie, and I think he then again so then there's twice actually he showed
Yeah,
up
just
when he
twice. Yeah.
bounced them out of the timeline, and then at the end of the movie when he actually created himself, and then you saw him like come out as being the same version of the younger Flash but a lot older.
Yeah.
That missing the villain or missing what the villain really wanted, the villain's take, or the fact that there was no villain to me. In my opinion, there was no villain in this movie. The villain was time, and the villain was the mom's death, the situation, what happened. But the lack of having that antagonist in the movie is what I think this movie was missing to make it great. Al, what did you feel about the villain? Do you feel that the Dark Flash served as the villain, or did you feel the same way that I did about there not really being a villain in this movie.
Yeah, like no, I felt like the villain of the movie was the loss of the mom.
Right.
Like as much of that as that can be a villain of a movie, because that was the what they were fighting against. Like
Right.
it was Barry changed, the mother dying, and look at everything that happened. So we have to find a way to undo that or redo that and so forth.
Right.
There was no protagonist throughout the movie. Everything was just them dealing with the consequences that came from him keeping his mother alive.
Right.
So to your point, there was never a feeling of that's the bad guy. I mean, Zod for a good portion of the time became the bad guy, but only because of the circumstance of Superman not being there, but
Right.
not because he was the Flash's bad guy.
Right.
You know, he was a consequence of what Barry did. So again, it was really Barry's actions that were the bad guy that they were fighting against, and
Right.
these were just all consequences. And to your point, if you were going to make it that um, Zero Dark Flash was the bad guy, then he should have kept popping in every once in a while. You
Yeah.
know,
You know what I think would have made a difference now?
like to stumble
If
them or something.
what's up?
No, I was just going to say, like he should have showed up a little bit more, like to try to cause trouble or roadblocks into them achieving what they were looking to achieve.
Well, with the theme of the movie being you really shouldn't mess with time and you can't affect time, I honestly thought the Dark Flash, and this is going to be sick and maybe not right, but I do feel that the Dark Flash should have realized by keeping his mom alive, that's what messed up everything. So that Dark Flash was the one that killed Nora Allen or Barry Allen's mom. I thought if they had gone back in time to show that, that would have made things a little bit different, a little bit more intense to figure out who was inside that Dark Flash and to see that it's an older version of Barry Allen, knowing that in order to save the timeline, he had to do that.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been crazy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I should be writing this shit, man. Like,
But
I think that would have made the movie a little bit more like, oh shoot, you know, like
if they knew they were going to be self-contained, I think they would have done something like that.
right.
Because remember, they never tell us who killed the mom. They
No,
never show
they
who
don't even
killed the
hint
mom.
at it.
No,
Nothing.
because I think they were gonna, if this did well, like they were expecting it to, they were gonna do a Flash 2, where Flash
Right.
2 would have been around about Reverse Flash, who's the one
Right.
who goes back in time and kills the mom.
Yes.
So, you know, that's probably why they didn't allude to the killer here, because they wanted that to be the focus of you know, Flash 2.
Right.
So, but you know, if you were gonna, I mean, they changed everything else. They did so many reshoots. I would have done a
Mhm.
reshoot and, like Tia said, you know, make Dark Flash be the one to say, well, fuck it, I need him to come back. Now
Right.
I need, you know, me pushing him out creates me, but I need to the original reason for him to even want to go back. So I have to kill my own mom.
Right.
Yeah, that would have been like that would have been heavy, and
That
that
would have
would
been
have.
heavy.
Oh,
Exactly.
okay,
And I think that's what this movie needed was like a oh shit moment or a villain, something like that, man.
yeah.
Now let's talk about Al real quickly. There, the you know they kind of they kind of gave it away in the trailers, and I know why. They probably did assume that this whole Ezra Miller thing would be the downfall of this Flash movie. So I think they had to show, you know, the 1980s Batman with Michael Keaton, and then they showed Supergirl as well. I mean, like I think those are things that they should have kept hidden,
Mm-hmm.
but they were in the movie, and I do feel like they did a great job for the time that they had on the stage on the film.
Yeah.
When Batman does his thing, Batman is amazing, and he looks like Batman. He fights like Batman, and I love seeing that version of Batman in the Russian escape for Supergirl there. And even like the end fight with Batman, I thought was fantastic, and it was like he had his purpose back, and it was
Mm-hmm.
great just to see Michael Keaton's Batman because I feel like after the Batman Returns in real life, they just kind of went to the third and fourth movie with Michael Keaton and also with Val Kilmer, and it was kind of like they didn't give it a proper ending, and I feel like this gave it a proper ending for Batman.
Yeah.
And shout out to whoever played Supergirl. I can't remember her name right now.
Oh yeah.
I think it's Sasha Kaye.
Yes, I should. Oh yeah, you meant the new one. Yeah.
Dude, I thought she was incredible as Supergirl. She looked fantastic in that outfit.
Hmm.
She killed it for me, man. How'd you
Yeah.
feel about Batman and Supergirl in this movie?
I liked it. Like I liked the like you said, I liked the way they portrayed Batman. They kept him, and Michael Keaton especially kept him
Right.
true to how they portrayed Batman in the original Batman movies.
Mhm.
And it wasn't even a certain like he uses a couple of his lines like where he goes, "Yeah, I'm Batman," and then
You want to
you
get
know
nuts?
later he goes, "You want to get nuts? We get nuts." Like those were the classic lines. But the one that
Right.
really made me feel like they stood true to him was when they were in that Russian uh place and they were going on the elevator and he was
Right.
setting the charges to like blow the elevator to go up and he says, "How much do you
Right.
weigh?" Like that was also a throwback to the original movie when he
The
asked
Vicky Vale, right?
Kim Basinger's character, and he says, "How much do you weigh?" And then he uses that to calculate what he had to do. So in this one, he calculates the setting he needed on the bomb.
Yeah.
Like that was the little one that was like, all right, they really stayed true to the original
Yeah.
Batman.
Al, do you have a bat ruler?
Yeah, I don't know where he pulled it from, and he
Just be measuring shit, huh, Batman's?
and why are you measuring from there? I don't know.
Yeah,
That's
dude. That was that's so awkward, dude.
okay. And then to your point, Sasha Calle, like to make that character, and it's it's a historic character, it's a well-known
Hmm.
character. I think she did a good job, and her scenes, she
Yeah,
carries the
man.
weight.
So I
There,
mean,
there
like
had
you
to have
said,
been a
man, I think
scene
that those
cut
characters
though
did
in the
great,
movie
man.
because
I
when
love
she leaves,
the way that they were used, and again, a lot of people
yeah,
say they were used as just like to sell tickets, but I did
no,
appreciate how they came off, man.
yeah. But I think like because you understand why she helps.
Hmm.
You understand why she joins the fight.
Hmm.
And then she finds out later about Kal-El and what happened to him, and she feels the guilt of not having protected, and so it all comes across, and she does, she shows it well, and she plays the role well.
Right.
So that's why I'm hoping that some of these rumors I'm hearing about her getting like a spinoff are true because
She deserves it.
yeah, she deserves it. She
She
did a
deserves
great
it.
job. Yeah,
Yeah.
she did a real good job. So and they made sense for the movie, especially when you make it such that that became oh, what do they call it? Whereas it was a moment in time that no matter what you do, you can't change because it has to change. It has to happen. And that's why no matter
Right.
what the Flash did, they always both die because they had to die according to
They
that
had to die.
event. I,
Hmm.
I it made that moment have weight, and it was
Right.
like you said, especially for the Batman role, it gave him a good ending because if that world ends because Zod wins, at least Batman went down fighting
Fighting for it.
instead of just being
Hmm.
in his mansion eating soup or whatever he was doing when they found him. So
Right.
I thought that was great to bring them in.
All right. So, I mean, let's talk about that ending, Al. I mean, again, it was the thought process that no matter what Barry does or whatever the two Barrys do, they could not save Batman and they could not save Supergirl. They were going to die in that world no matter what they did, however many times they tried, it did not matter. And I think
Hmm.
it led back to Barry now realizing he cannot change what happened to his mom because this would cause all these other changes, right? All these
Hmm.
different things. And I think, like I said in the spoilers, I think they kind of contradicted themselves by saying you cannot mess with time, you cannot change anything, no matter how many times both Batmans said not to fuck with time and not to change anything. Because I think even Ben Affleck's Batman said, even if you step on a blade of grass differently than you did, it could change a reaction, right?
Hmm.
And he gets the message, but then Barry recalls that his father would have been released from prison had he just looked up at the camera or looked up and when he was shopping for tomato paste so that we could see his face.
Yeah.
So what does our Barry Allen do? Instead of, putting the tomato paste back into mom's cart because that's what was missing when the dad left. He went to go get more tomato paste.
Mm-hmm.
He moves the tomato case section up the shelves so that in real time, then, um, what's his name? Barry Allen's dad there.
Yeah.
He looks up to go get the toothpaste, not the toothpaste, I'm sorry, the
Tomato
paste or the tomato sauce. And that's how he gets out of jail. So he still messes with time. And then with this messing in time, Alec, had you mentioned before, was now we have George Clooney coming out of the, I guess, Bruce Wayne's car.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like all this stuff still happens and it kind of changes everything.
Mm-hmm.
So one, Al, I want to ask you one thing, which is, what did you think of the ending and how it played out? And two, do you think we're going to see now George Clooney part of the future, or do we end it right here?
I didn't like that ending only because if the whole point of the movie was for the Flash to realize you can't change the past, to still have him change an aspect of it, to me defeated the whole point of the movie.
What was
Like
the point? Yeah.
was he had to learn, no, I needed to accept that my mother, that my life is what it is, basically.
Right.
Um because of everything else, and you still have him change the past. So it was almost like, what was the point of the lesson if he didn't learn it?
Mm-hmm.
um it should have been, listen, just try to overcome it or deal with the consequences of what life gives you. But they didn't. He doesn't end up learning it because he still changes something in the past.
Right.
And see, and my problem with that is because if you were going to show us where this DCEU is going, and this was supposed to be what sets all of that possibility up, all you did was show us that this itself should be an Elseworld. If you're
Right.
going to make it so that the Batman with Robert Pattinson is an Elseworld, if you're going to show us that all these other movies or all like the cartoons and all that stuff are Elseworlds, and then just these certain movies are the actual DCEU,
Mm-hmm.
then why are you ending with Bruce Wayne
Right.
being George Clooney, or Batman being George Clooney?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you just made the Flash itself be an Elseworld
Right.
because your new Batman movie that's coming out with DCEU. See, from what I've heard, there was a version of the ending that has Barry look at the car and
Right.
go, who the fuck is this? And then all you see is a foot step out and it ends there.
Right.
Like, that would have been better, because then that could have been anybody, and
And
then
we
it
could
would
start
have
from
been,
there.
and you can start with, that was the Batman that is in this new
Mm-hmm.
Batman movie coming out. And you didn't have to commit to, there was this new Batman or there's variation of Batman. It could have
Right.
been, there's a different Batman because he didn't know who the fuck just got out of Bruce Wayne's car. And now we all find out in the new Batman movie.
Yeah.
That's how they should have left it. But they want to get another cameo. Not like they didn't have enough already.
Right.
You
And I
know,
also think it's a way to kind of end Ezra Miller's Flash as well, because you're not going to use both those characters anymore, or both
yeah.
those guys, both those actors there. They're
Mhm.
done. They're like,
Mhm.
we're not going to have George Clooney playing Batman, and we're not going to have Ezra Miller be the Flash anymore. I don't believe.
No, and I'm glad you said that, because I was just going to say, if that's what they're doing, if they're making this Flash be now an Elseworld, it'll
Mm-hmm.
explain why they have a new Flash in the DCEU going forward.
Right.
Because that's what I think they're going to have to do. If they're not going to, because there's no movie that involves Ezra Miller going forward where you're not going to have the story being everything he did.
Right.
Because you haven't allowed anybody to talk about it or interview them about it. So that's going to be your story going forward.
Mm-hmm.
So the only way you get around that, you get a new Flash. And the reason why you have a new Flash, he changed the past. He changed events. So now there's even another version where there's a different Flash.
Right. Yeah, man, it's going to be interesting how they play this out. I mean, again, I think they're trying to give people more reasons to see these new DC movies, with the Blue Beetle and also with the Aquaman movie coming at the end of this year. I think Blue Beetle comes out in July or August, I believe it is.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes with those things. But I really don't have true faith in these two movies that are coming, honestly. Even though, like I said, The Flash, I would actually think about seeing it again in the theaters. I'm most likely going to wait for that one, but I do think it was a good movie, and I don't think it again deserves all the criticism that it's getting.
Mm-mm.
But I understand why. So it's
Yeah.
like it was one of those like I get it, you know. So that's pretty much it. I wish it would have resetted the DCEU, and that's how we get to this new DCU by James Gunn. But I kind of
Mhm.
also see it like now we could do this, wipe our hands, we're done, and we start fresh. So
Yeah.
2025 Superman Legacy, let's go.
Now,
Oh
but
man,
to that point, does it almost negate any reason to even see Aquaman 2 now?
I feel like it does. I mean, I don't understand how you keep Aquaman going. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't know. And
Because
again, it depends on the trailers, but there's been
yeah.
rumors about the movie being screened and it's not doing too well with screenings and stuff like that. But again, who knows? We'll see what the finished
Yeah.
product is when it comes out. I can't wait to see a trailer. More than likely coming out with Blue Beetle. Blue Beetle will probably have the trailer for Aquaman to come out with it. So you got to figure another month or two and we'll see a trailer for the Aquaman movie.
Mhm.
I don't know, man. DC, man, we got to step it up, man. We really do. Got to step it up, bro.
Yeah.
Oh man, well Al, listen, man, this is gonna be it for us tonight, man. We've gone over an hour here talking about these
Oh,
movies
wow.
and the trailer for Craven there. So listen, guys, we would love to know, what did you guys think? What did you think of the Craven trailer? What did you think of Transformers: Rise of the Beast? I hope you got a chance to see it. I thought that movie was great. And The Flash, did you go check it out? Do you feel how we feel about The Flash? That it was worth the time to go see it? Let us know in the comments below if you're watching on YouTube or if you're listening to us on a podcast app. Email us at therealfanreview@gmail.com. Real is REEL. But listen, that's going to be us for tonight. Next week's podcast, we may not see a movie. There's a movie called Hard Feelings with who's the old Mystique, the Mystique, the most recent Mystique there.
Oh, Jennifer Lawrence.
Jennifer Lawrence. That's coming out this week, which looks
Oh,
like
yeah,
it
No
could be a
Hard Feelings or
raunchy
something.
comedy. Yeah, it looks funny, but more importantly, for us fans of comic book movies, Secret Invasion comes out this Thursday. Oh no, actually this Wednesday, June 21st, my
Yeah,
birthday, by
tomorrow.
the way. So we're gonna check out Secret Invasion. So if we don't give you a review for for No Hard Feelings, we'll probably end up talking about Secret Invasion, the first episode. And then we'll also get you guys ready for Indiana Jones and the Dial of Destiny for the next week. So we'll do a prep for that. So we'll get you guys ready for that. So if you're not a subscriber, please hit the subscribe button on the YouTube channel. Or if you're just listening to us on a podcast, hit the plus symbol there so that we come to you guys every single week when we put out a podcast. So again, coming out of Long Island, New York, we are the Real Fan Review. Saying goodnight is our man in the chair, Al.
Have a good night, everybody.
And myself, Hav, saying thank you guys for listening, for watching. We'll see you guys on the next podcast. Until next time.